Hi, I'm wearing pink today. You know what that means. New moon reading on Real Justice Tarot coming up today. And also, if you want to check out daily readings for the 1st of March 2022, you can check it out on Real Justice Tarot. For vocals, you can check out Fabian Deacon Vocals. Hi, Empress Justice here, aka Fabian Deacon, with another update. Um, so yeah, one notable thing that I wanted to mention is that Samaritan seems to be a double up for the monitoring of um, the emotional effects of the gang stalking. And the reason I say that is because I think sometimes the Samaritan's line is diverted to one of the people monitoring the gang stalking. Because yesterday I had a bit of a crying fit, and I ring the Samaritans up in a bid to talk about what was bothering me, and then I get this person on the other end of the phone, and they were clearly very abrupt and they're not exactly compassionate. So that was the first thing that I got. The second thing that I got was that they were listening to what I was saying and evidently noting down everything that was being said. And towards the end of the phone call, I hear over the phone them saying to somebody else, "That's not good." Because what I did during the phone call was I went from kind of talking emotionally about how I was feeling to discussing the ins and outs of how my illness actually works. And I heard at the other end of the phone, "That's not good." And of course it wasn't. If I was hit with a psychotropic weapon and instead of being manic or anything else, I'm actually dealing with how the anxiety makes me feel and what the anxiety is actually doing to me. If instead of being irrational and thinking, well, this is how my emotion makes me feel, this is how, this is where my brain goes to when I get anxious and this, that, and the third. If I'm actually analyzing and picking apart the feelings that either I feel organically because of the cortisol or how I'm being made to feel because my cortisol is being elevated deliberately. If I'm used to how those effects make me feel and I deal with them in a specific way, then of course it's not good, right? So clearly the whole point from the people upstairs taunting me because, well, the kids have been taunting me, but it's just the usual dumb shit. Like, they the taunts are always fucking dumb. But it's like, for me, from the people upstairs taunting me, that's been quiet now. There's been nothing that's been said since yesterday night, to this Samaritans incident where the call was clearly diverted and to a person who was like unsympathetic and taking down notes and clearly trying to emotionally aggravating me by being cold and abrupt. Clearly the idea was for me to be manic so that I could be moved out of the flat. And I'm thinking, the whole time this is going on, I'm thinking, your number is already up. The world is literally at war. Like, let's just say, for argument's sake, that the war with the Russians and the Ukraine, the war with the Russians and the Ukrainians, um, let's just say, for argument's sake, that comes to a head, right? And like the conflict ceases and everything goes relatively back to normal. I mean, how normal can you go when your country's been obliterated? Let's just say all of that ends tomorrow. There's still going to be a World War III because of the gang stalking, because the gang stalking caused World War III. Yeah, so basically, even if the Russia versus Ukrainian conflict ends tomorrow, it's still going to be a situation where World War III is still going to happen, because when it comes to the gang stalking thing and the behavioral and social control, to do with the electronic weapons, like I've said before, there's a TI, there's perps around the outside, and then there are witnesses to what the perps are doing. There's too many witnesses. There's always going to be a depopulation effort. So it doesn't matter. There's always going to be a depopulation effort no matter what happens. So, like, trying to make me manic in order to get out of a flat, like, what? Assuming that the nuclear bomb doesn't bomb the crap out of this flat, like, it's so stupid. The whole thing is so stupid. How could you still be so focused on this petty shit? Like, you already won. You're like, we're looking down the barrel of a nuclear warhead. You already won. Like, what's getting me out of a flat gonna matter? What's me getting section gonna matter? What is any of this gonna matter? I haven't even mentioned that in the entire, like, for how many days now? I haven't even mentioned all that shit. It's because we're literally looking at World War III right now. The Ukraine is not just a country. I mean, it's not just a country. They've got one of the most important ports on the globe. Like, literally, there's more import and export coming through the Ukraine than any other country. That's one of the reasons why it's important. The second reason why it's important is because of the resources that are over there. So it's like, and you have to remember that Finland is right next to Russia, and Finland isn't that far away from the UK. It's not that far away from the UK and France. So if the Russian government get antsy and they decide, nah, listen, the whole world has to pay, because they're losing right now. They're not winning. They're losing. And they're losing because their strategy of going in fast and cheap, it didn't work. So the Russians are losing right now. If they get desperate and they start busting out their fucking nuclear warheads and start coming for Europe, because they might be about to do that. Yeah, they might be about to do that. It's game over. It's game fucking over. It's game fucking over, because they're gonna fire nukes, and then other countries are gonna fire nukes. It's gonna keep the game fucking over, bro. Game fucking over. And people can talk about computer hacking, but computer hacking isn't faultless either. You could make a wrong move. You could hack into a Russian government computer or hack into Russian technology, military technology, make a wrong move, accidentally set off a nuke anyway. There is so many things that can go wrong with computer hacking as well. Like, literally, we're looking down the barrel of the end of the fucking world. Do you really think I give a fuck about a flat? I'm trying to think of a way out of here myself so that I can get to fucking safety, just in case any bullshit happens. And let's just say, for argument's sake, that I have a manic episode and I do get sectioned. The likelihood is that wherever it is that I go, it will be an hour away from anywhere, including the coast. The coast is right there. Look, I know you can't see it. Hang on. I know you can't see it, but the coast is literally right fucking there. Okay? All it would take is a nuclear bomb right in that coast over there to send a whole tsunami that could wipe out. It could wipe out us. It could reach as far as here. It could reach as far as here. Because remember, it's a nuclear bomb. It's not a fucking cherry bomb. It could reach as far as here. So if I get sectioned, the likelihood is that I'm not going to be sectioned anywhere that's that close to the fucking coast. That's probably going to be the safest place I could be. So that this whole petty thing about trying to make me manic and trying to make me anxious in order to get out of the fucking flat is so stupid and so petty and so ridiculous. You want to make me manic for what? You already fucking won. The world is at war as a direct result of behavioral and social experimentation, unlawful behavioral and social experimentation using high grade weapons of mass destruction. You already won. Let it go. Okay? Let it the fuck go. Me being manic and getting into hospital, that would just put me in a better position than you. If I'm being medicated, then I don't have to suffer through the stupidity of the shit that, hey, Tony, why have you changed your name? You changed your name. You never used to have an underscore. What's going on? But anyway, you sectioning me and and putting me on all those kinds of drugs, like it might be unpleasant and it might be the chemical version of attraction. But if you're actually gonna speed the going like that, at least I don't have to suffer through the stupidity of what you people have actually done. And again, sectioning me in a place like probably an hour away from the coast or in the middle of nowhere. As long as that bitch got a bunker, I'm good. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'll be safer there than I would be here. In terms of war, I would be far safer here, far safer there than I ever would be here. Yeah, people were misinterpreting my name. I don't understand how people could think that you were Tony La. Like, uh, like for me, you're always Tony. You were Tony, targeted Tony LA. It's very simple. But yeah, I get you. I get you. But I do get you because people just don't think. People just don't think when it comes to names. But I would actually be safer in a mental health facility in terms of war. I'd actually be safer in a psychiatric hospital, especially if you're going to send me out in the middle of nowhere. I'd actually be safer there than I would be close to the coast. And that's the truth of the matter of the situation. I would actually be safer. So all this shit about trying to make me manic and trying to do all this type of shit is just, nah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like these, at this point, gang stalkers are just making themselves look stupid. You already caused a war. Just let it go. You already caused the war. Just let it go. Just let the shit go. Like, why do you need to be trying to flex like you're no? You already caused the fucking war. Like, that's not enough for you. It's not enough for you until you cause a war and emotionally annihilate somebody that you don't know. Like, come on, bro. You already got blood on your hands. Chill. You've been having blood on your hands. Do you seriously think those wars that we've seen, those wars that we've seen people fleeing from, do you seriously think behavioral engineering and social engineering wasn't used in order to facilitate those wars? You already have blood on your hands. Let it the fuck go. It emotionally annihilating me is not going to make anything better. Killing me is not going to make anything better either. If anything, it just makes things better for me. Because I don't have to suffer through the stupidity of your fucking actions and you needing to assuage your ego. I don't have to suffer through it. That's what I'm saying. So there was a gang stalker out there. Basically, the whole point was to get me emotional in order to distract me from making this video because, yeah, gang stalkers do stuff like that. But yeah, what the fuck more do you want? Like, you've already won. Like, you already won. Chill. Like, it's just ridiculous at this point. And speaking of the Russian Ukrainian war, there was an ITV piece on people from Britain and other countries, people from other countries, but it's mostly British citizens who are going to fight in the Ukraine for the Ukrainian people. And I want to say something like, they never had the same energy for Somalia. They never had the same energy for Kuwait. They never had the same energy for Syria. They never had the same energy for Palestine. They never had the same energy for even Nagasaki. They never had the same energy for Uganda. They never had the same energy for Rwanda. They never had the same energy for this country, this country, this country. I want to say that. I really do want to say that. But as much as there is a clear bias, and as much as the Eastern Bloc have a reputation for having an unhealthy amount of racism, and especially anti-Black racism, you got a biracial man about to fight for the Ukraine, and the Ukraine is anti-Black as fuck. As much as I want to say all those things, the truth of the matter is because of the Ukraine's importance in terms of import and export, and their importance in terms of resources, and how if Russia wins or Russia escalates the situation, they could literally wipe us all out. They could literally set off the spark that would wipe us all out. I can't say in my heart of hearts why I don't understand why people are going off to fight for the Ukraine, why other countries are going off to fight for the Ukraine. I can't in my heart of hearts say that I don't get it. Because at one point during my reading yesterday for March 2022, I said that people were going to be fighting against war itself, and people going over to fight for the Ukraine. That's an example of that. That is an example of that. People suiting up, all walks of life from all different countries, from Iran, from people like in Surrey or something, going to fight for the Ukraine or Ukraine, going to fight for them. That's sending a message that we are not opposed to any country. We're opposed to war itself. It's just a shame that the country that people are fighting for is all kinds of problematic and all kinds of awful, you know. But yeah, the thing about war is that it's complicated. When it comes to COVID and when it comes to the war, we've seen racism in action. We've seen anti-Blackness in action. And it's demonstrated to us Black people that racism was, that we were always right all along, that we were always right when we said that racism is very much a factor when it comes to how we're treated in emergency situations, that racism never leaves the equation, even during a war situation, even during COVID. People want to be racist, but they don't want to be seen as the R word. But at the same time, war is a complex thing. And it's like, even though racism definitely exists and all these things definitely exist, it's like war is so complex and so intricate and so tied to how many people will be able to be fed. It's just difficult to it's difficult for me to simplify it. And I feel like through villainizing Putin the way that we are doing, rather than holding all our leaders accountable, I feel that what we're actually doing is we are simplifying a very complex situation. I do not like Putin. I think Putin is a bastard. I don't like him. But to treat him as the boogeyman, when we literally have like politicians, almost all politicians are corrupt, warlords, enslavers. So Putin's the only one. Why? What? Because he went to war with the Ukraine and he's losing? Like, how is he the boogeyman? This was put in place for quite some time. There were hints that the Nazis were going to win the war this time. Because remember, when the Nazis lost, they went into different pockets of different countries. They went into South America. They went into the Eastern Bloc. And the Ukraine has a so-called, the Ukraine has a sizable neo-Nazi population. Not to mention the fact that NATO hired Nazi scientists in order to do, they hired Nazi scientists for, strategically for behavioral control. So the Nazis winning, and this has been hinted at several times, The Nazis winning it, it was never about Russia versus Ukraine, or Russia and China versus the West, because it's not just Russia and China, and especially China, that have taken inspiration from what Hitler did. You know, the US and especially the UK were the precursor to everything that neo Nazis follow today. They were the precursor to all of that race science. So white supremacy is very, very real. It is worldwide, it is global, and it is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And the reason why people don't understand white supremacy properly is because, once again, it's oversimplifying it. When we are in times of great fear and great stress, the first instinct that people want to do is to simplify things so that they can focus on one specific task and do it well. That's a human impulse. That is a biological and natural impulse. But the problem with that is that when people oversimplify shit, the truth is that it can make things more complicated than they need to be. White supremacy is very real. Racism is very real. At the same time, we have to think about the short term here. Like, do we really like want to leave Ukraine defenseless and run the risk of Putin annihilating Europe? Do we really want to do that? Do we really want to do that? Like, this whole thing is a pantomime show to me, but let's assume that I'm taking this pantomime show seriously. Do we really want Russia to take over Ukraine and then move on to annihilate Europe for joining NATO, or Finland and Sweden for joining NATO? Do we really want that? Of course we don't. So of course people are going to defend the Ukraine. Like, with me knowing all of this, of course people are going to defend the Ukraine. That's what I'm saying. War is not easy. It's not an easy thing to. It's messy. It's messy, and there are no winners. But yeah, there's a nice lady feeding the seagulls, which is, yeah, that's actually really nice. It's actually really nice. I used to hate seagulls, but I'm all right with them now. Um, but yeah, you know, war is a complex thing, and there are no easy choices in war. And sometimes, in order to preserve the peace and give yourself a fighting chance, you gotta fight with the enemy. You gotta fight with the enemy. Anyway, yeah, those were my thoughts for today. I mean, I've been depressed for the last few days because of, because I know that this whole Russia versus Ukraine situation is not going to have a happy ending for anybody. And as for Putin wanting an imperialist Russia, like, all of that shit is just, it's false flag bullshit. That's not what this is about. This is about resources. It's about resources, and it's about having the whole world engage in this pantomime, in this stage show where real life people end up getting killed. And it all started with behavioral engineering, with energetic warfare. Energetic warfare, that's how it starts. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's just say, let's just say. Anyway, I'm going to be doing my reading today. I will let you know what time. Um, yeah. I want to maintain hope and faith that this war will end, but I don't. It's not going to. It's not going to. World War III will happen. It will happen for the simple reason that the reset is coming. And if it's not Russia that's gonna be the boogeyman, the villain that sets the whole thing in motion, then it's gonna be another country. I want to have hope, but I don't see any hope. Human beings are they're too full. And then on top of that, like they're too full, and then on top of that, there's behavioral engineering involved. Like, so humans are already stupid in the first place. And then there's energetic behavioral control going on with artificial intelligence. Nah, this is not going to have a happy ending. It's not. But anyway, I gotta go. I gotta get ready for this reading. So you guys take care. I love you. Bye bye.